Happy to finally have a Patriots Day celebration, including our USS Lexington celebration, after several years of pandemic and bad weather. We probably forget that we missed because of the pandemic for 2 years, and the year before that we had torrential rain, and we missed that year too. So it's been 3 years since we've had this ceremony. Welcome, in any event, to the 34th Annual USS Lexington Memorial Service. My name is Alan Regley, and on behalf of the Lexington Lions Club, myself and Mark McCullough will be your host today. We are gathered here today to honor all of the men and women who served on the famous warships named Lexington, and all who have defended the United States in past and present conflicts around the world. It is our hope that you will take a few minutes before you leave to reflect and remember the brave service of our fellow citizens. To open our ceremony today, I would like to call upon the Reverend Ginger Solaqua, but I haven't got it quite right, from Church of Our Redeemer in Lexington for our invocation. Ginger?
I know we gather today from a range of beliefs and traditions, and so I invite you to join in this prayer in any way that feels comfortable for you. Let us pray. Creator God, we thank you for those who fought for freedom in this place and those who fought for that same freedom on all the ships named Lexington. We thank you for all those who serve in our armed forces today, for all those who give their lives in service of others. We thank you for all who are assembled here to remember and to seek inspiration. May light perpetual shine on those who have died, and may that same light shine in us as we seek to love our neighbors as ourselves. In these days of tension, complexity, and division, we ask you, God, to bless us with persistence and compassion, that we might honor you and one another in all we do. Amen.
Thank you very much, Ginger. Please stand if you are able for the raising of our flag.
Starts going up.
Now our national anthem, played by the Lexington High School Band. Thank you very much. It is truly a fitting time and place to have a memorial service for the men and women who have served on those ships named Lexington and who have served the United States of America. On this day and in this place, we celebrate Patriots Day at the site of the battle which launched the beginning of our experiment in democracy. At this time, I would like to thank all of you who have taken the time to stop and honor our veterans. We are particularly honored by those members of the CV-12 and CV-16 who are here in spirit. Without their help, this service would not be possible. We'd particularly like to acknowledge the presence of Pat, and I may have the names wrong, Pat Breton, Jessica Lacaloni, and Luke, who are relatives of Roland King, one of the founders of this ceremony. And there's a little plaque to Roland over there next to the last stone as you face them. Also, our Gold Star mothers, Karen Lounsbury, State Vice President, where are they? Right there, who lost her son at Fort Hood. Robin Abbott, State President, she lost her son upon return of PTSD. Karen Marsden, Newton Chapter Vice President, lost her son upon return from PTSD. Thank you very much. The Gold Star Mothers represent an organization of women whose sons and daughters were killed in military combat during service in the armed forces of the United States. We thank them for their presence and their strength and courage. Now it is my pleasure to introduce the president of the Lexington Lions Club, Paula Rizzo O'Reilly, for a few words, very few words of welcome, Paula.
Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. We have blue skies. Let's keep our fingers crossed for the rest of the day. I just want to thank you all for coming. I want to thank the Gold Star mothers for coming. We really appreciate that, and we're with you, thinking of you. I wanted to thank select person Susan Barry for joining us, Michelle Chicolo, State Representative, for joining us, and David, Captain of the Lexington Minutemen. Please, as you leave after our ceremony, take the time to walk by and read about the different ships. It's very educational, it's very heartwarming, and we thank you. And as I said, I'm going to keep it short and sweet, so I'm going to turn it back to Paula.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Paula. Representing the Town of Lexington Select Board, Susie Barry.
Good morning. On behalf of the Select Board, our Chair Jill Hay, our Vice Chair Doug Lucente, members Joe Pato, Mark Zandine, and myself, and the Town of Lexington. Whether you are a first-time visitor or a long-time resident, I want to welcome you to Lexington on this very special day. And thank you for taking the time to join us as we honor and remember those who served on the ship's Lexington. I also want to acknowledge the family members who are with us here this morning and whose loved ones served on the USS Lexington, as well as I want to make special mention and acknowledge our Gold Star mothers, Karen, Robin, and Karen, for being with us today. And thank you for your loved one's service to our country. On this beautiful April morning, as we want to honor those who served on the USS Lexington, the Select Board and the town are especially grateful to the Lexington Lions Club for their longtime dedication and commitment to the USS Lexington Memorial and these ceremonies. What a glorious morning for America, and what a beautiful day for Lexington. Thank you.
Thank you, Susie. Representing the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, State Representative Michelle Cicullo of the 15th Middlesex District.
Good morning, everyone. Friends, neighbors, distinguished guests, especially our active duty military, our public safety officials, our veterans, and our Gold Star families. I bring you greetings from Beacon Hill. I'm State Representative Michelle Cicullo, and I'm pleased to be with you all here today to share in this commemoration ceremony. I also want to acknowledge my colleague, Ken Gordon, who is here from Bedford, Representative Ken Gordon. The opportunity to celebrate the USS Lexington ships is an important opportunity to remember the sacrifice that members of our military have made in protecting our democracy. There were 7 USS Lexington ships, and 6 of them are depicted here today. I'm going to tell you just a little bit about them because I think learning about that history is an important part of preserving their memory and honoring their sacrifice. So, the first USS Lexington was the 1776 Brigantine, a 2-masted sailing vessel acquired in 1776 and captured in 1777. The USS Lexington, 1825, a sloop of war, commissioned in 1826 and decommissioned in 1855. The USS Lexington, 1861, a timber-clad gunboat in commission from 1861 to 1865. The USS Lexington II, the SP-705, later the the USS 705, was a patrol vessel from 1917 to 1918. The USS Lexington CV-1, a Lexington-class battlecruiser, converted to CV-2 in 1922. The Lexington CV-2, the Lexington aircraft carrier, 1927, and sunk in 1942. And the USS Lexington CV-16, an Essex-class aircraft carrier in commission from 1943 to 1991, now at a museum in Corpus Christi, Texas. Thousands of our military personnel served on these ships to protect our democracy and our way of life. In World War II, the Japanese referred to the CV-2 as the ghost ship for its tendency to reappear after reportedly being sunk. coupled with its dark blue camouflage scheme, led the crew to refer to her as the Blue Ghost. Rumors existed during the war that the ship was so badly damaged it had to be scuttled at one point, but a newly built aircraft carrier was immediately deployed with the same name in an effort to demoralize the Japanese. In Lexington, where the first battle of the American Revolution was fought, we like to be a community of firsts, and we take pride in our leadership in the hopes that we may inspire others to do great things. In that spirit of honoring firsts, it's fun to note a few facts about the Lexington, in particular the CV-16. It was the first heavy fleet carrier to enter Tokyo Bay, the first carrier to deploy air-to-surface missiles, the first carrier to conduct flight operations in the Cape Horn, and one of my favorites, the first aircraft carrier in U.S. naval history to have women stationed aboard as crew members back in 1980, and the first carrier to establish a seagoing high school, which is a wonderful part of learning and education, and it also served as a Navy training carrier. It's fitting and right that this memorial sits here aside of our hallowed green, the birthplace of American liberty, and it serves to remind us all of the fact that our democracy is not free. When we gather here each year, we remember the thousands who served on the Lexington and the hundreds of lives which were lost. We are filled with gratitude for their service. I'm honored to be here today to give voice to this important remembrance. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. From the Lexington Minuteman, Captain Commanding David Kemper.
Good morning. I know some of you got up really early this morning and actually saw us on the green. How many actually got up that early? Very good, thank you so much. But you know what's really important that we do as Lexington Minutemen, welcome you to this great memory to be able to be etched into our minds and our hearts of these ships that were named the USS Lexington, but also to remember that the shot heard around the world started here in Lexington for the beginning of our democracy, but also to remember that we push as Lexington Minutemen to remember the names of the men that were on the green. Just as you are doing this ceremony through the Lions Club, especially, to remember the names of these ships which so many men and women have served the United States of America. It's really important that we never forget their names. We never forget their names. Just as important as the 80 men who are on the green, the Lexington Minutemen always remember their names. We actually represent each member on that green. We research them, we find out about them, we know their families, we know where they live, we even know how many taxes they paid in the town of Lexington. We know where their children survived and when they didn't survive. We know their wives' names, we know their mothers' names, we know their mothers' names. It's important to know the names of the people who serve our country. It really is. Never forget the names of these amazing ships that served our country, but it's not the ships, it's the men and women who served on those ships. Never forget. Find out if you don't know them. Even if you find out the name of one naval service person, it will be amazing. Hold tight to the names. They're real. They're people. They love this nation, as you all do. Thank you so much for coming and celebrating this morning.
Before we start the memorial part of our service, we would like to acknowledge that one of our most valued and active members, John Mungo, has recently passed away, and he will be sorely missed. Thank you. first Lexington 16-gun, originally merchantman Wild Duck, purchased by the Continental Congress in March 1776 and renamed in honor of the courageous Lexington Minuteman. It captured 3 British ships while patrolling the Virginia Capes. It was seized by the British when returning from the West Indies. Lexington's company overpowered their captors and brought the British as prisoners to Baltimore in 1777. Off the coast of France, the Lexington was captured by the British on September 29th, 1777, when she ran out of ammunition on a calm sea. The second Lexington, an 18-gun sloop of war, commissioned June 11th, 1826. It served 2 tours in the Mediterranean and the South American waters. Landed a raiding party in the Falklands in 1832 in reprisal for seizure of 2 American whalers. Also landed Marines in Buenos Aires to protect the U.S. interests. Converted into a store ship, Lexington transported troops during the Mexican War. And after the war, she provided security along the California coast when the territory was being transferred to U.S. control. In 1852, Lexington joined Commander Perry's historic expedition to Tokyo that opened Japan to Western commerce. She was decommissioned in New York in 1855. The third Lexington River Gunboat, sidewheel steamer purchased by the War Department in 1861. She was converted into a gunboat with 4 8-inch guns and 2 32-pounders. In the Civil War, the Lexington swept the Mississippi River system and spearheaded drives into the Cumberland and Tennessee rivers. She played a vital role in the capture of Fort Henry and Fort Donelson, helping to save General Grant's troops from disaster at Shiloh. She also provided cover for General Sherman in the attack of Vicksburg. Led flotilla in the successful expedition up the Red River in 1864 and later captured 3 Confederate steamers in Mississippi. She was decommissioned July 2nd, 1865. The fourth Lexington, CB2, Lady Lex. Built in Quincy, Mass. On the hull of a battle cruiser, the 36,000-ton carrier was commissioned on the 14th of December, 1927. She was the first ship to average more than 30 knots on an ocean voyage on the decks of the Lexington and Saratoga. Launching and landing techniques of aircraft were perfected on her. Lieutenant Butch O'Hare, based on Lady Lex, downed 5 Japanese bomber on February 20th, 1942 to become the first Navy ace of World War II in the Battle of the Coral Sea. Pilots from the Lady Lex sank the first enemy carrier of the war. The Japanese advance to Australia was stopped, but the Lex was sunk when fires erupted after taking 3 torpedoes and was hit by 2 bombs. The fifth Lexington, CB-16, Blue Ghost, also built in Quincy, Mass., commissioned in Boston, February 17, 1943. She participated in 35 engagements during World War II. Pilots from Air Groups 16, 19, 20, 9, and 94 downed 387 planes, destroyed 645 planes on the ground, and dropped 2,735 bombs on the Japanese bases. She sank or damaged 588,000 tons of warships. The ship's gunners shot down 15 attacking planes. Lexington was torpedoed off the Marshalls on December 4th, 1943, and later hit by kamikazes on November 5th, 1944. The Japanese reported the Lexington sunk no less than 4 times, yet each time she returned to fight again, leading Tokyo Rose to nickname her the Blue Ghost. The name is a tribute to the ship and the crew and the air groups that served aboard her. Awarded 11 battle stars and the Presidential Unit Citation. In 1955, she was remodeled with an angular flight deck. Since 1963, she has served as the Navy's training center, and more planes landed on the USS Lexington CV-16 than any other ship in history. The Lexington was decommissioned in 1991 with an active service life longer than any other Essex-class ship. Following her decommissioning, she was donated for the use of a museum ship in Corpus Christi, Texas. Thank you.
Ready? Over here. Once again, I'd like to thank you all for joining us for this memorial ceremony. I'd also like to thank the Lexington High School Band and Justin, their conductor, thank you. And the, yes, and thank you to the U.S. Naval Sea Cadets program. We really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you. And please stop by, read the plaques on the memorials. And again, thank you very much for joining us.
For our benediction, Reverend Ginger, please.
And now go into the world in peace, inspired by the examples of the brave people who fought in this place for the freedoms we now enjoy. Go into the world in gratitude, thankful to the men and women of our armed services who sacrifice today in order to make our freedoms more complete. And go into the world in hope, committed to making real the dream of justice that we have inherited from those who have gone before. Amen.
Bye.